Just follow the money. Man's got to know his limitations.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
That's great psychology. Why don't you just say something bad about my mother?
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
I never thought anybody could forget so much so fast without a severe blow to the head.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
Just looking around here, I can tell you're a genuinely dirty person.
The sportos, the motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
He thinks I made it up.
Unbelievable.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
That was really cool, by the way. That was really cool, by the way. That was really cool, by the way.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it.
All right. Stop right there, and I'll bring back the sun.
Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, ma'am.
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Moon River.
You using the whole fist, Doc? Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever served time?
A chat with you and somehow death loses its sting.
This is my sister. You can all have her. I hear she's very good. All right. Stop right there, and I'll bring back the sun.
How, in the name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
Moon River.
Just the facts, ma'am.
That was really cool, by the way.
Every minute you don't tell us why you're here, I cut off a finger.
Mine or yours?
Yours. Damn.
I never realized how much my advice hurt people until my advice hurt me.
Just follow the money.
You're not hearing what I'm saying.
Oh, that's okay, Doc, because you're not saying what I'm hearing. I feel no shame, only pride, because my syphilis is a badge of honor.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all Zeus's butthole did you get out of your cell?
What's happening, people? All right. I know it said I was going to be on another 5 minutes, but I just felt like jumping in. I'm not eating eggs right now. I'm going to be making my coffee eggs tonight to enjoy them chilled in the morning. Come the morn. It's soon enough. But in the meantime, hi, welcome back. Thank you. Who's laughing now? I'll tell you who's laughing now. We are! All right, so it's funny that my voice has gotten so much deeper just since then. Hi, Noel. Slanche, how are you? That's warm. All right. Whew. Thank you. So Trump did an interview with Maria Bartiromo on Mornings with Maria, where he talked about battling coronavirus, reopening the U.S. economy, and fallout from the Russia investigation on Mornings with Maria. How do you solve a morning like Maria? And so we're going to look at that and enjoy ourselves. Oh, I pissed the troll off, as you do. But hey, it's 11:15. Oh, nice. All right. At night? Yes, it's at night. So, well, thank you for staying up. I appreciate it on a fine Saturday evening like this. I look forward to getting over there sometime. I need to have a shite. I don't drink, but I'll hang with you at one of these places. Don't you know? Wherever you go to the pub. That's right. It's theater. That's what we're doing today. Ew, ew. Tommy Bell. Bonjour, ça va bien? Comment allez-vous? Actually, I should use a Canadian accent when I did. Bonjour, ça va bien? Yeah, the trolls, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in their technique overall. Because it's a little easy to see coming, and it's not really, they don't have any staying power, you know what I mean? I can stick on one argument nonstop for days, and they just kind of putter about for about 2 seconds. It's like if somebody comes in and you're a professional chef and they challenge you to a cooking competition, and they crack one egg and go, these eggs suck, and then they run away. Like, let's talk. Okay, what about we do dinner instead? And you're like, all right, well, let's see. Okay, I'll start cooking up like dinner sides and all kinds of stuff like that. And they open the fridge and go, your fridge is bullshit. Just run away. Hey, S.A. Jimmy Esquire, how are you? Welcome. By the way, Moto is under the weather, so we send him love. Hope for some quick healing. Dzień dobry. Oh, thank you, Cosmic Rose. Appreciate that. This morning was fun. It was a good time. Maybe you should get their check from RT if they don't ask certain questions, drop certain talking points. That's precisely true. You know, you can't. I mean, these poor guys. So here we go. Let's go to the commentary. Good times, having a good time. It's a very important interview. They're going to be sitting down with the president. He's very serious about stuff. Let's see what he has to say. Uh-oh, if it even plays at all, will it? I don't know.
Taking hold inside the White House.
Governors are opening them. Most of them are either opened or opening or considering it.
Have been opened, did be open.
We have to get back to work. We have to get our country back. We have to take it back. It was artificially closed.
What do you mean take it back? Who are you taking it back from? That also confuses me. So we're taking it back from our fellow Americans not getting killed?
Doing incredibly well, considering the fact that we had the greatest economy, Maria.
Glory days. And we're sitting at 6 feet apart, glory days. So you can't smell my farts, glory days. All right.
In history, you report it every morning. The greatest that anyone's ever seen, best job numbers, best stock market numbers.
How do you even?
Everything. We had the best.
Oh, we had the best stuff. It's amazing how we had basically the natural climb from the end of the Obama administration, and now like
everything. And in addition,
3.5 years, a problem comes in that you could have prepared for and you failed to prepare for, unlike Obama's problem, which started before he became president and he ended up fixing it. Try harder.
the military being strong, all of the things we've done, and we had it just one
The military wasn't weak.
day, boom,
Tell it, boom,
close it.
boom, close it. They walk in, they go, sir.
We did the right thing, and now we got to get back. We got to bring our country back, and it's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast. I call it a transition to greatness.
Yeah, we know, and we can't figure out why. We don't know why you think that's snappy. I mean, the whole Trump is a marketing genius thing is literally gone to his head. This is like the fall of abstract art. How do you know it's not art? What'd you do? I sat on this canvas without any underwear after I had a really bad digestive issue. And this is some beans negotiating their way through my digestive tract before I was able to stand. It's art. You know why it's art? Because I say it's art. And you don't know. You don't know how good this is.
You're going to have the third quarter. People are starting to get into that right now, but it's going to be a
No, we're not. We're not.
transition. That's a transition quarter. We're going to do well in the fourth quarter. And I think next year, with all of the stimulus, all of the things we've done, I think we're going to have one of the best economic years we've ever had.
Dr. Fauci is saying a different thing.
Okay, sales pitch now.
He says he's worried about spikes turning into outbreaks. He said it seems like it could be too soon, and that the major message he wants to convey is that the danger is if we skip over the checkpoints and the guidelines to open America again, then we risk the danger of multiple outbreaks.
Yeah, you know, logic.
So Anthony is a good person, very good person.
He's a good person. However, I would like to say that too much learning can be a bad thing.
I've disagreed with him. When I closed the border to China, he disagreed with that, and then ultimately he agreed. And
He disagreed with it being the only step. That seems to be the confusion part, by the way. I'm going to move this. This graphics got too much. Okay. Will this actually work today? Yeah, there we go. Now it works. He goes back and forth on this whole Fauci thing where he goes, you know, he was not for me closing the border at all. That wasn't the argument with anybody. Yeah, the issue was that if that's all you do, it is insufficient. But he seems to have a real hard time grasping that. Everybody said, I told everybody in the room, I'm going to close the border and then go golfing. And they went, that's a terrible idea. And he's like, oh, you don't like closing the border? And they're like, and then he went golfing.
hundreds of thousands of lives, which is what happened. Everybody disagreed when I did that. I think that we have to open our schools. Young people are very little affected by this.
But they're great carriers of it. They're great carriers of our American disease.
We have to get the schools open. We have to get our country open. We have to open our country. Now.
So we have to get our country open. We have to open our country. Now what?
We want to do it safely, but we also want to do it as quickly as possible. We can't keep going on like this. I mean, you're going to have, you're having bedlam already in the streets. You can't.
Yeah, you've been encouraging it. Is there bedlam? Have we seen bedlam, honest to God? Is there bedlam? Bedlam. Think about how dusty your brain must be to have a group of 150 nudniks with long guns and silly masks standing out in front of a courthouse. That's bedlam.
You can't do this. We have to get it open. I totally disagree with him on schools, and we will have.
Well, you know, he was good in his, and yeah.
Embers, I call them spikes, and I notice he used the word spike. Well, you might have that, and we'll put it out. You know, we've learned a lot. We didn't know anything.
You don't put out a spike.
About this. This is a
I'm going to put out the spike. Spike is the name of the dog that I own in my head.
Horrible disease. This is a horrible plague. I call it a plague. It's a
that you just like the biblical aspect of it because Paula White told you.
We've learned.
It's incredible. We learned so much.
And we also know how to put it out. But we have to open.
We've learned a lot. We know how to put it out. No, we don't. Yeah, well, I take it back. We do. By testing. We need testing everywhere so we can corner it when it breaks out, and when people are sick and the overabundance of testing everywhere in the country, then people can get tested multiple times because these perfect tests aren't perfect.
Country, we have no choice. You know, people are
We do have a choice. People are making the choice. A lot of people are staying home. A lot of people aren't going out. Still.
dying this way too. When you report this better than I could ever report it.
You're not a reporter. And what part is she reporting? Is this the part we're going to find out who's been putting out this whole thing?
But people are they're dying with this closure, with the shutdown of a country where they're in their house or in their apartment. They're not allowed. Some people are too tough on it. They're not allowed to go out. They can't. They're losing their jobs. We're not going to let it happen.
Do you think your critics want you to keep it closed going into the election?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, because you live in a fantasy land and you're a psychopath and everything's about you and you don't really give a crap about the American people. And you don't realize you're dealing with a contagious disease that has an 80% asymptomatic transfer rate.
I think it's a political thing in addition. I think
because
some
they're
states,
saying you're putting money, business ahead of lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think the people that
you know, money and business in front. Well, yeah.
Want to see the right thing happen. They agree with me. We have to get our country open.
Want to see the right thing happen. He literally, that's his answer to people say you're putting business and politics, money and politics ahead of people's lives. And the people who agree with me agree with me.
You know, if it was up to some people, let's keep it closed for a long time, okay? A long time.
No, I don't know where this whole business, you made this up.
And watch the United States go down the tubes. Not going to happen.
There's some people who are for open borders. And there are a lot of people who just think we should roam this, that no one should be able to go outside ever again. They love it.
Never going to happen on my watch.
That's what I want to ask you. I mean, do you see long-term damage done the longer that you stay closed? Because Jay Powell said that as well, that there is a long-term impact.
Yeah, we know that. That's why you do a phased, responsible exit, like California's focusing on and New York is focusing on. The problem isn't the opening. The problem is this jerkwad walking on stage going, we got to get it open. We got to open it now. We got to get it open. It's got to be open. We got to let people out. We got to, when it's really a 14-day to phase 1, 14-day to phase 2, 14-day to phase 3 opening, and you're acting like we're already at phase 3 and just go out and everybody, like, this is the absurdity. It's not that
longer it's
honestly. This is like he's like, look, I got to take a shit. And you're like, no, you have to take your pants off first. You have to pull your pants down before you go to the bathroom. There's no time for that. I just got to.
It's closed.
Yeah, so what I do see is this. I see we're losing a tremendous number of lives. So is the world. You know, the world. We're 184 countries. It's now more than that. Think of it. But tremendous lives lost, so that can never, when you talk about damage, that can never be replaced. We're
right.
Going to lose over 100,000.
We're going to lose more.
Perhaps in this country.
Perhaps perhaps we're going to lose over 100,000. We're going to lose over 100,000 by the end of the month.
In all fairness, that's at the bottom level of the scale. We would have lost 2 million. We would have lost more if we did it a different way.
If you did nothing at all, not different way. That's not a different way. That's not doing.
But you're talking about 100,000 more, a little bit less, more? Who knows? It's a terrible thing. No, so that can't.
Some of these people who got it might get up off the table and start wandering around, and, you know, zombies can flip burgers.
Replace. We're spending trillions of dollars on all of the damage economically, financially that it's caused. So it is a terrible.
Are 100,000 Americans worth $1 trillion? I don't think so. That's what we're talking about.
Thing. It's just an incredible thing. We were saying.
Well, thanks, SJMB 2002 Esquire. I appreciate that.
And 2 months ago, we were sailing. We were going. We had the best of everything.
It was the best unemployment situation in my lifetime, certainly. And now we're talking about 33 million people filing for unemployment, even after $10 trillion in stimulus.
That's all going to come.
$10 trillion in stimulus. $10 trillion in stimulus. Did we jump past? Are we counting the next 3? Are we like, why?
Bankruptcies.
The lives won't come back. That's all going to come back. It's going to come back fast. Now, with that, we're spending money, we're borrowing money, we're spending money. All of that stuff is bad, but all of that's going to work out. That's going to all come back. We have a strong dollar. We have a great country. The people want to go back to work, and they don't want to lose their jobs, by the way.
So you want a strong dollar? Because in the past you've said you didn't want a strong dollar.
It's a great.
Because in the past you don't know what you're talking about, and you certainly don't now.
A strong dollar, because the whole world.
I think it's,
we're paying.
Strong sounds better than a weak dollar, even if a weak dollar is stronger. It's like getting a positive test. That's a negative, and then if you test negative, that's a positive. I think we should test more negative people. I think more tests that give false negatives are positive, when a lot of ones that give false positives are negative.
That's never happened either. We're paying so low. Everybody wants to be in the dollar because we kept it strong. I kept it strong. Now, from a trade standpoint, it's...
He wants negative interest rates. You're not keeping it strong if you're asking for negative interest rates.
Tougher, but from a country standpoint...
Powell has kept it strong in spite of you.
From an inflation standpoint, you don't have inflation, you don't have problems.
Yeah, you don't have inflation right now. Yeah, I wonder why that is. Because nobody has any buying power because they're all staying home trying not to die?
No, we have a strong dollar.
Really? Is there any, what's the historical context of inflation during pandemics and wars?
And right now it's good to have a strong dollar.
Mr. President,
I can live both ways. You understand that?
Yeah, I don't care. You can make money on either side of the market, and that's the important thing.
But right now, having a strong dollar is a great thing.
What's the right mix of policies to get us back?
Yeah, let's hear this.
Had a policy program in 2017, and you moved the needle on economic growth. That was tax cuts, that was deregulation, that was turning on the energy spigot, and it was a new trade situation. Is it the same playbook to get us back?
So we're going to have maybe a different playbook, stronger than I would have ever said. I was very much a pro-USA person. I was America first, right? Always. You've known me ever since you've known me, and I was right about that. Strong borders. Our border is very strong. We have some of the best numbers we've ever had. Southern border, the best numbers we've ever had.
This is what you campaigned on.
I did.
Yeah, this is his answer to how you're going to bring back the economy after this. We've got strong borders.
And we've built 182 miles of wall. You know what that is? 182 miles. We'll be at close to 500 miles by early next year of
new wall.
Oh, that's how he's going to. Okay, so that's how we're going to bring back the economy. Everyone will have a job building wall.
New, all brand new, and renovated too, but I'm not even talking about that.
I'm not even talking about the renovated ones. This is the fantasy 500 miles wall that I've been talking about for 3 years.
We're talking about...
Trump uses Chinese steel in his building.
Over 500 miles of wall, and we have... You have to understand, I had a party totally, they want open borders, they want people pouring.
What does this have, how do you rebuild the economy after a pandemic with building wall?
And even they don't mention it. You notice I have all the financing. They didn't even bother with it at the end because I turned out to be right. They didn't want to be the party that was opposed to having walls and having strong borders. But they are. They want open borders. They want people.
No, we don't want open borders. Nobody wants open borders. And by the way, you're the one who was just talking to Governor Abbott about migrant workers' visas being exempt and employees. Wait, between the two of us, me and him, who has employed undocumented workers at multiple facilities that they own? Oh, it's a trick question, Hal. You don't own multiple facilities. That's right. So it has to be,
people pouring into our country, and now they look at it and they say they pour in. Do they have COVID-19? Do they? What's the problem? You know, what problem do they have? Okay, and so they want to stay away from that subject.
Yeah, no, the Mexican people are saying that because we have more cases. So they closed their border with us before we closed our border with them.
But when you think of what we've done, but I was always America first, make America great again, right? And basically it's that, but it's that plus because...
It's MAGA plus. It's like, think of the plus as a T. It's maggot.
A lot of people fought me on China. You hear you hear all that honking, you know what that is?
Those are truckers that love Trump. Those are truckers that are protesting low shipping rates and the fact that their lives are in danger and they still are essential workers, but they're not getting paid.
Trucks They love their
the
president.
trucking protesters, right?
Well, they're not protesters. They're supporters of me.
Oh yeah, is that what they're telling you? Is that what the office is telling you? Yeah, Mr. President, what is with the friggin' honking? It's Mr. President, they love you. Those are honks of love. I'm getting honks of love. I bet you never got honks of love before. Have you gotten honks of love?
Because we're getting things for the truckers and all those great truckers that are all over the country.
They want the economy
and they're
open.
hunky, and they're really very thankful that I'm president, frankly. So when
That's what it is. It's nonstop honking, just because they really wish. Oh my God, the honks. Yeah, I'm fake news. Those trucks are those are honks of love. Somebody put honk if you honk constantly without interruption if you love Donald Trump.
The horns. There's 1,000 trucks outside. It's great. So what we're doing is what I was doing before, but even more so. And I'm even, strong.
So you're gonna ignore what's the next big threat you're ignoring currently while you're supposedly finally focusing on this and the reopening. So what is it? When are we gonna find out? Late this fall that North Korea nukes us? Is that what's gonna happen?
About it, America first.
And you're gonna go, the Obama administration could have stopped North Korea, but they didn't.
China, I made a great trade deal. The ink.
The ink wasn't even dry. The phase one of the trade deal where they're going to buy $50 billion worth of pork products, basically. Gee, where's coronavirus showing up in massive amounts in the country? Where is that? And where have we spent $68 billion?
When the plague came over from China, but the ink wasn't even dry.
They didn't tell you about it when they came here on the 15th of January and shook everybody's hands.
That was never even a subject. That was not anything that anybody.
You didn't. Your own people were yelling at you in January about it. You didn't think about that? Like, hey guys, we got a delegate. Have they been tested? Of course they've been tested.
Really understood or knew about it at the time, but China.
No, but nobody understood or knew about it at the time. Ugh.
I'm very disappointed in China.
In fact, do we need to go to footage of China spraying streets with Clorox?
We'll tell you that right now.
I have a lot of questions on China.
We can do things in our.
I have a lot of questions on China, Mr. President. Okay. Oh no.
Country. We can, we used to make our own product. Would you believe it, right? We used to make our own product. We don't need 37 pencils. We can buy 2 pencils, and they can be better.
I see. Bulk is the problem. It's quality that's important. Yeah. Spoken like somebody who has never made an honest dollar in their life. We don't need 38 pencils that are cheap from China. We need 2 good pencils. We can just pass them around the class.
But, we went astray. The whole thing, we went astray. I've been talking about this for 20 years. Probably it's the #1 reason.
From a building built with Chinese steel with entire floors bought out by Russian oligarchs under fake accounts.
In Iran.
Running a gambling and prostitution ring out of Trump Tower.
For president. Because I saw that our car industry was leaving, going to Mexico. Mexico makes 30% of our cars. It's not even believable.
Well, business.
Yeah, it is. Businesses moved them over there because it was cheaper.
Canada makes a lot of our cars.
Businesses wanted cheap labor, but they also wanted lax environmental rules.
Yeah. And so your solution was, why don't we make lax environmental rules here in America? Why don't we choke our own citizens to death like Mexico does? That'll get the car companies back.
Cheap labor turned out to be very expensive because when you add what this is costing, you just take a look at what's happening.
Yeah, it doesn't cost the businesses that. We're bailing them out. There's no upside to this. They're not going to start building more cars in the United States all of a sudden because of this.
And when you add what's costing by us with our drugs, our pharmaceutical products, so many different things.
That's not assembling cars. That has nothing to do with that. I mean, they're national stockpiles of drugs and there are drug companies that make things here, and we can nationalize some of those things. If you think we're going to start making government insulin for people, good luck getting your supporters to inject that into their arms.
So I put tariffs on China, and we've taken in tens of billions of dollars. I gave a lot of that money to the farmers because they were targeted by China. And every other president let China do whatever they wanted. You know, we were
No, they didn't. They were developing the TPP specifically to create a workaround around China's strength in the region and help shore up the smaller Asian countries in that area. And it got torpedoed by the likes of you and people on the far left, and everybody spread across the spectrum just because Obama was doing it, and trade deals are bad. So you can't do trade deals with these small companies like Taiwan and that because you'll piss off China. Yeah, right.
Anywhere from $200 billion to $500 billion to China a year. Think of it. We rebuilt China, and I give them a lot of credit.
We don't pay $500 billion to China. We buy $500 billion worth of stuff from China, and they buy $250 billion worth of stuff from us.
But I don't give our past presidents and leaders a lot of credit because they got taken to the cleaners. And worst of all was the last 8 years under President Obama and Biden.
Terrible. It's amazing.
So his son gets $1.5 billion, and then they're supposed to be tough on China. Doesn't work that way.
Really? What about the loans you personally got? One thing, like the vice president's son working with an investment group, and part of their investment money came from China because a lot of the people in China are trying to find ways to move their money out of the country because the Chinese Communist Party has so much strength over everybody's finances that they try to sneak it out any way they can just so that their investments actually exist. If the country falls apart or the government decides to seize it. But what about your loans from China, sir?
Hold on Air Force Two.
Yeah,
with
he used
then
his
Vice
father.
President
His
Joe
father
Biden.
got him to hundreds. Look, it's impossible to do what he did. If you talk to Steve Schwarzman, and I asked him, I said, Steve, is something like that possible? He said,
to get
totally
that kind of money.
He said, it's impossible. You can't get that money. He said, this guy had no experience. He didn't even have a job. And he walked out of China with $1.5 billion to invest for them, of which he makes hundreds of thousands and actually.
Right, you're jealous. This is jealousy. Okay, here's what happens, dude. One of the reasons why that investment group brought on Joe Biden's son, besides the fact that that was the work that he wanted to do, was because that guy, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, can't run off with that money like random dudes can. He can't steal it and go live in Azerbaijan like other people they've invested their money with. You know where he is. And his father's the vice president. So the deal better be good or it reflects on the dad. So that's why they felt it was a safe person to invest their money with. And as a shepherd of that money and the fact that it got invested where it was supposed to get money, he made money. Same thing with Ukraine. Same with being on the board of Burisma. Barista. Yeah, he worked at a Starbucks in Ukraine. Burisma was totally corrupt, and they righted it, turned it normal. With the investment money, part of the money that was shepherded in by Hunter Biden. He sat there and made sure they spent it like they were supposed to. The investors felt better about putting money in, and the stuff actually went to build something, and Ukraine's got a functioning oil and gas industry, and they broomed out all the Russians that were junking up the system, which is what Putin's mad about, which is what he's mad about, and they're all jealous of the money.
Millions of dollars. What is this?
So how do you get us?
What is this? Well, I just told you.
Back. When you look at these numbers, we're going to be going into the election with a double-digit unemployment rate. I mean, could we get below 10% by September on unemployment?
No, but
what are your policies?
I think we're going to be very, very strong again. We have tremendous powers that other people don't have. We have tremendous job capacity, and I think what's going to happen is next year is going to be one of our best years. I feel that we will transition in this third quarter. Fourth quarter is going to be good. Next year is going to be incredible.
Yeah, we've heard that a bunch.
Are there industries that you're thinking of that will lead us out of there, that are more poised to open and have economic activity than others? And what about states? Are there states out there that have become a model for you? I know Georgia did well, Florida as well.
No, they haven't done well. No, they have not done well.
What can you tell us about the?
They lied about their death rate. It's stabilized and continuing. It's plateaued.
But don't forget, those states, none of them would have done well without what we did in the federal government, because we became the ventilator maker of the world. I mean, we are now doing things with ventilators that nobody thought possible.
What are you doing with ventilators? Where are you putting the ventilators?
You using the whole fist, Doc? Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Yeah, it's one of the new ventilators.
When we took over, we didn't have nobody knew what a ventilator was.
Nobody knew what a ventilator was. Okay.
We're making thousands of ventilators now a week.
That's why you're making thousands a week. That's why the stockpile went from 10,000 to 10,640.
Also, by the way, everybody's got ventilators. We're giving them now and selling them to other countries.
We're selling them? Are we selling them? So we've got a nationalized ventilator program that the American taxpayer is now in the ventilator business. Right? Is that what it is? So we're the Venezuela of ventilators.
Desperately need them. Other countries are calling up. They desperately need them.
Yeah, for other diseases.
We're the testing capital. You see the numbers. I mean, you've seen this before.
Please bring out a piece of paper. She's excited about this.
But this is us in the blue.
You're up to 10 million.
Now look at this. Over 10 million tests.
Cumulative since March. Per capita, we're still behind, 24 other countries?
To a place where the White House is in corporate America, where every time you go to work, you just get your temperature taken, you get a test. Is that where we're going?
You don't want to be doing that. Look, we want to go back to, like, you want to see a baseball game or you want to see a basketball or football, you want to walk into a stadium. I went to the Alabama LSU game last year. They had 110,000 people in the stadium. I don't want to see 25,000 people where you have empty seats all over the place. Because
it's temporary. Do you not understand? These things are temporary, and they become less necessary if you take the right steps.
We could get back to that, Mr. President. How long is this going to take to get back to normalcy?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a vaccine by the end of the year. We're doing very well with a vaccine.
He needs there to be a vaccine by the end of the year because he saw that picture that I posted of Obama getting an H1N1 shot in December of the same year it came out.
And I will tell you something. I just literally left a meeting. We're mobilizing our military and other forces, but we're mobilizing our military on the basis that we do have a vaccine. You know, it's a massive job to give this vaccine. Our military is now being mobilized, so at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people.
Can you imagine a Democratic president saying, we have this disease under control, we will have a vaccine for it by Christmas, and during Christmas, the military will be out giving shots to people. We are going to deliver. He's got to say scourge out here, Jenny, the cat whisperer. I completely agree. But can you imagine if Obama had said, everybody in everyone in the nation is going to get shot by the military, and they're going to come to your school, and someone from the military will hold you down, and we'll give you a vaccine. And can you imagine the flip out?
Very, very rapidly.
And you're just doing something with syringes as well, so that.
Yeah, uh-oh. Are we learning something? Oh, you mean getting enough syringes so that when there's a vaccine, we have enough in stock? You mean
you can have it plentiful.
That's right.
You have enough vaccine.
We will have the tremendous force, because assuming we get it, then you have to distribute it.
Assuming we get it, then you have to distribute it. I don't know if you understand that. It doesn't just, you don't just have a spigot and people come up and back up to the spigot.
And unless you're mobilized and ready, you're not going to be able to do it for a long time. So we're starting now. We're of the assumption that by the end of the year, we're going to have a vaccine, and then we have to be able to give it, to use it on most of our population.
Yeah.
Most of our population. Honest to God, where are the Alex Joneses of the world on this dude being the one who finally gets every American in the country to get the same shot? Now, I'm not paranoid about the vaccine, and I'm looking forward to the availability of it and the selective use of it at first, and then maybe the permanent use of it in case it flares up again. Normal, vaccine rules. But can you imagine if a Democrat was saying it the way he's saying it now? We've got the military, and they're going to be rolling out, and we're developing, and as soon as we have it, we're going to be able to inject it in every American. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Wow. Thank you for all you do.
And we'll focus on elderly. We're going to focus on nursing home and senior citizen centers, because that's really, if you look at it, that is a very vulnerable group. It's a terrible thing. But so we're going to be focused on that. We're going to go.
Can you divide the country, saying, okay, if you're below 50, you're healthy and strong, you're okay, go back to work. Elderly, divide them.
Well, we're doing that, and I'm actually saying, like with the schools, open the schools. But if a teacher is 65 or older, especially if they have diabetes, if they have a bad heart, if they have a problem, we say relax for a longer period of time. But if you look, there's been very little damage done to people that are healthy and young and, frankly, medium.
That's because we've been mitigating like crazy. They've been killing people in meatpacking plants, on U.S. naval ships. Good God.
Aged people.
He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
But the elderly have been decimated, absolutely.
Let me get back to getting us back to where we were. Nancy Pelosi has...
To where we were. The way we were.
Stimulus package now. We know that it is $3 trillion.
Yeah, but that wants to help people vote, which is a non-starter for Republicans.
Kevin McCarthy's been tweeting about this, and apparently it includes diversity provisions for the marijuana business. It includes tax breaks for blue state donors, federal election takeover that mandates mail-in voting. What is your take on proxy votes and mail-in voting? This is part of the Speaker's stimulus package.
So she knows it's dead on.
Yeah, because we know there's going to be a flare-up in the fall, and then with the availability for mail-in votes for every state to make that available to all their constituents, because if people are afraid to vote because they're going to die, that's un-American.
Arrival. We had a very interesting evening last night, as you know, in Wisconsin. We won very, very by a lot. And this is not a primary, this is an election. It was a special election. We won a House seat, supposed to be close. We won by a lot.
No, it wasn't. It was +8 Republican.
We had a great person, now Congressman Tom Tiffany.
And the Republicans won in California, a special election.
And in California, we're just getting the numbers, and it looks like we won that big. And he's been a tremendous candidate, Mike Garcia. He went out, he worked, and he won, and he took back a seat from the Democrats in California. Think of that. In an area that nobody thought possible. It was held by a...
It was Republican before it was held by a Democrat.
As you know.
It happens all the time.
A Democrat who had a lot of problems. And
a lot of problems. You mean the one who was sex-shamed and had revenge porn used against her?
Went out and he won that seat. These are two. Now, the press doesn't even write. But if we lost those seats, it would be headline news. Rough time for Trump. Because I'm running against Sleepy Joe Biden, but I'm also running against the Democrat machine, and I'm running, and you see how bad they are.
And your own record.
All of the things that are coming out. When you look at these releases that are just being given to you just now as we sit down. But I'm running.
Nope, we don't wish the illness on anybody, Johnny.
Against the Democrats, and I'm running against the media. I'm running against the radical left. I'm running against some real...
The American people. I'm running against the truckers. I'm running against you, Maria.
Stupid Republicans that don't understand how good they had it.
Good group of people.
We have some I'm at 95 or 96% with the Republican Party, but we have some people that claim to be Republicans, and they've gone crazy. And the reason is I've defeated them all. You know, they were all my opponents, and they've never gotten over it. Guys, Weaver and Schmidt, all losers. And they go out and they try buying commercials. And you say, gee, we've rebuilt our military. We've taken care of our vets. Our vets are in the best shape. You've never seen anything like it with the vets, you know, with...
From the guy who ordered 29 million doses of hydroxychloroquine and ordered the VA to experiment with it on veterans.
With choice, with everything else. We've done such a good job, and then you add the judges and you add protected...
Yeah, that's the linchpin, guys, for his entire election thing, is judges.
Our Second Amendment. And what are these guys going to do? Support Joe Biden? And
Yeah, they are.
Joe has been brought way left, way left. They've never got...
Was that an edit?
over losing to me. It wasn't supposed to happen. And then I had another race. It was against crooked Hillary Clinton, and she's never gotten over it either.
Well, she's been tweeting already saying that we have to vote by mail. Now, I know that there was interference in the 2016 election. They were out to get you and they wanted to take you down. There's another kind of interference, and that could be fooling around with voting machines. I mean, in terms of voting by mail, vote proxies, what's your take? Do you want that?
So,
she's been tweeting about that.
Should people be allowed to vote? I mean, aren't we above voting at this point? Can't we just have landowners go back to this? Why don't we have serfdom and fiefdom? I mean, that's what Fox Business is built on.
Voting by mail is very dangerous because people can grab them. People can take that proxy, sign a name. They can do all sorts of things, especially harvesting. They go out and they say, just, let's put them all together. And that's...
Yeah, it's a federal crime. You can arrest people for that. Do it. Find it. Find anybody who went and interfered with the mail.
By the way, we were thinking that might happen in California. We were,
and it didn't.
Worried about the race. But look.
Yeah, everywhere they've had mail-in voting, you're supporting, like, both of those wins you just had a lot of mail-in votes. Do you want to throw those out?
California, they actually won. They voted by mail. The one we just won today. We just won it.
Right. Where's the fraud? Where's the fear? In California, of all places.
Vote by mail. And they were losing because when you vote by mail, you see the tally, how it's going, right? And we were losing. We were losing that issue. So we lost that issue. We're voting by mail. We're winning. What happens? They immediately set a voting booth up, wasn't supposed to, in the middle of a Democrat area so they could get votes.
If there's not more voters there, no one will go into that booth. What do you think, people vote twice?
But they still didn't do it. We won the race. It's pretty amazing.
Why would Nancy...
So why do you care then? If that area, they added a voting booth and you still won, maybe there were people who voted in that area for your guy. Why is... I don't understand. The access to voting seems to be the big problem.
She come up with this $3 trillion plan.
If she
knows it's dead on arrival. She knows nobody's going to go for marijuana business in the middle of a pandemic.
Not a marijuana business. It's diversity in the marijuana business, so that there are certain rules that if people had a marijuana conviction, they couldn't be in the marijuana business within 5 or 10 years or whatever. And it allowed a bunch of companies to scoop in and take up jobs when people could, who, quite frankly, had been making good living in that business before it was illegal, and were one of the reasons it became legal. And their nonviolent drug offenses should go back a little bit further, 5, 10 years or whatever, so that you're not just brooming people out of an industry before you take it over.
More than anything else, she wants the voter, the way of voting changed. Because if you did that, look, they have had some very dishonest things. You look at California, look at Los Angeles, where Judicial Watch settled a case where they agreed that 1 million votes were fraudulent.
That wasn't what they settled. Go read it.
1 million votes in one area were fraudulent, and they could have done a lot more, but it was so ridiculous, there was no reason to go any further.
Because there wasn't anything there?
They came to a settlement. They agreed on 1 million votes.
No, they didn't.
The level of dishonesty with Democrat voting is unbelievable. If you told a Republican to vote twice, they'd get sick at even the thought of it. And you have people that vote numerous times. What's happening is crazy. So now they want to send...
Where are they? Where are these arrests? Who are these people who have voted more than once? Find them. Find a single one. In districts that you've won, where are they?
Vote by mail. Who knows who's signing this stuff? Not only should they come and vote, now if you're a senior citizen and if you're this or that, like in Florida, there's a great system.
He votes by mail, by the way. He votes by mail. He votes by mail. Just for the record.
Voting, but it's a...
He votes by mail.
Fair system, and it's a very closely watched system. So in some cases, age, you're not feeling well, you should be able to do it. But
here's the thing. How do you know you're not feeling well at the time of voting? So basically anybody who's laid out during the first week of November, their vote doesn't count because they got sick in a small window? Why wouldn't you have the availability to have your ballot mailed to you and then you could deliver it to a polling place in person if you want to, or mail it in if you can't?
To go out and vote. And if you don't do that, we'll have the worst rigged election since Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders had a lot of bad things happen to him. You know, it's interesting with Bernie Sanders.
It's a good point. I'm glad you make that.
It is a good point, yeah, because you guys really care about what happens to Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, if Elizabeth Warren drops, and nobody talks about this, I say it all
a bunch of people talk about it. Bernie fans.
the time because it's so basic. Elizabeth Warren was a failed candidate, but she got a lot of the super liberal votes, you know, the radical left, I call it.
Yeah, but they weren't the ones going for Bernie, and they wouldn't have.
And she didn't drop out of the race, Super Tuesday. If she drops out...
She had a shot then. Why didn't Bernie drop out and send it her way?
The race. She doesn't even know...
She's younger. She's a woman. Oh, that's why.
...to endorse Bernie Sanders. He wins every state. Almost every state.
No.
Against...
He capped out at 30%. Even with hers, she still... If all of her votes went to Bernie, he's still losing to the side that coalesced around Biden. And both of them have endorsed him.
Biden, but she didn't. And then two other people did drop out. They gave the support to Biden. And despite that, if she doesn't, because
you think you were the first choice in your Republican group?
She got, you know, thousands of votes. Every one of those races were very close. He would.
No, they weren't.
In almost every state, Bernie Sanders. And that was the establishment Democrats killing Bernie Sanders.
You know, Mr. President.
Is that what wow, Mr. President, wow. You are so smart to put that together.
There are a lot of people today that are very happy that you're so tough as you are, because there's a statute. There's a 1947 statute that says Nancy Pelosi would yield all of the powers of the presidency if the president and the vice president could not. Consistent with the law, she could issue whatever executive order she wanted, fire disfavored political appointees, and in general, direct the executive branch as she pleased. She's
third in line for the presidency if something happens to these guys. If they both get sick, what's your point? That he should be wearing a mask, that you should be wearing a mask?
Third in line.
Yeah, she's third in line. That's how our government works. Are you just recognizing this?
It's never going to happen. We'll keep our vice president very healthy, and I'll stay healthy. Never going to happen. She would be a disaster. Look,
well, healthy in air quotes.
Nancy Pelosi's a disaster, okay? Even doing
she impeached you.
Like that with her crazy vote. What she wants to do is get involved with the voting. She just got back to Washington. Everyone said, what was so long? She just got back here. So let's just see how it all works out.
So,
but I think
who put together the CARES Act and got the votes for that? Who got the second stimulus, doubled the amount of money in it from what you were asking for? Who got from your 2.4 ask to $8.6 billion for the very first COVID-19 bill? So a disaster. Weren't you a couple months ago going, I asked for 2.4, they gave me 8, I'll take it?
We're going to have a great election. I'm getting really good poll numbers. For the most part, they're not being shown. And
I'm getting great numbers in my head.
I saw Joe Biden on television yesterday, and if you watch him, he knows nothing. He knows absolutely nothing.
Do you think he will be the candidate?
Yeah, of course he is.
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I'm looking. Normally, it's, of course, you know, he's going to be the candidate. Again, if Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, as I affectionately call her, because her whole life was a fraud, if Elizabeth Warren just got out before Super Tuesday, it would be Bernie. I don't care who it is. It doesn't matter. I actually would prefer Joe. I think I'd prefer Joe. Who knows, right, about those things. But a lot of people wonder, is he going to be the candidate?
But, you know,
he was hoping to run against Bernie.
How will you be positioning yourself for the election?
Leaning forward on my lifts.
Because people voted for you because they trusted your economic smarts. They knew you could turn things around for the economy and business. You're a business.
And now we know that's complete horseshit, because it's on the exact same growth arc it was on when you got in office.
And I
for
did.
The first
except for when you collapsed it.
As president, exactly. But now we've got 33 million people filing for unemployment. We've got 20%.
Nobody blames me for that. Look,
unemployment.
Yeah, no, a lot of people do, because you golfed for a month.
We had to turn off our country. We had the greatest, as
so
we
will
said.
you position yourself differently going into this?
No, I don't think so.
No, I'm going to be the same. I'm going to run as if nothing ever
I'm
happened.
going to do it again. I got to do it again. I did it once. I showed it can be done. And you know it. I've been on your show.
What was the turnaround? What are you talking about? The stock market was at an all-time high when you took over. Unemployment was on its way down when you came into office.
I did
You just convinced everybody that black guy bad.
it once, and I'll do it again.
Are you thinking about a
he can't
payroll
do
tax
it.
holiday? How?
I like the idea of a payroll tax because it's very
Because it hamstrings Social Security in the future and makes it insolvent sooner.
easy to administer, and I'd like it for both the small companies, you know, et cetera, and the people.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Because it's a double. It's a company tax. It's also for the people, the worker. I'd like a payroll tax.
Cut a payroll
Yeah, there you go. Cut. Just might want to fix that for him.
tax cut or a holiday?
Cut. Yeah, cut. Meaning cut. That's one of the taxes that I want to see cut. And
Okay, so it's a cut, not a holiday. So that's the distinction she's making. Originally, he was talking about a payroll tax holiday during the time of this to help people spur growth. Now he's talking about it, just get rid of it.
the way we've given the largest tax cut in history. If we weren't so strong as a country, we wouldn't even exist right now.
Yeah, if we weren't America, we'd be what? Namibia?
Built an incredible machine. It was
Oh, did you? You built the machine.
a beautiful thing to watch. It was, I even said 3 months ago, I was with a group of people. I say, can you believe this? Every single day, better employment numbers, better stock market numbers, more.
Yeah, it's almost like from whatever 2012 on in the Obama administration.
Jobs. The military's almost.
As soon as Obama hit 12,000 in the stock market, every single day after that it went up was his.
Complete now. We've totally rebuilt.
7,000 up since the top, and 13,000 point growth in the Dow from when Obama took over, from the day he took over, righted it back to its normal point and went 9 past where the highest it had ever been. And let's see, so 23,000, 9 versus 9 is going to carry the two or whatever. So half the growth in the Dow that Obama oversaw in one term.
And then one day I have to turn it off. Now, what's going to happen, Maria? We're going to rebuild it again. And it's going to go.
You're going to have to, and you shouldn't have had to. You shouldn't have to be rebuilding it again. You should have been prepared for something like this. You ran Crimson Contagion last year. You had a pandemic response team, and you fired them. We should have been able to have a bigger control on this. We had the highest death rate of any industrialized country.
Yes.
You have to give aid to the states. We had Mayor de Blasio on the other day. He said he needs $7.5 billion right now, yesterday. He said he needs to be made whole. What are you thinking in terms of aid to the states, to the cities? How are you going to decide who gets?
It's not our, we want the blue states to suffer during this time so that they blame their leaders and we can say it's not our fault. And the red states live off the government tit anyways, so who cares?
So you've had a lot of states and cities that have been very badly run for a long time. A lot of them are trying to use the COVID problem, you know that, for making up what's happened over 25 years of bad management. Like your governor of Illinois, he wants money. He wants money. I know the family. He wants money because, let's make up for 25 years and some very bad current years. Now, there's one thing. If they spend the money, that's one thing for COVID. But they want money for 25 years of bad management. It happens to be that virtually without exception, they're all in Democrat states. It's very interesting.
Yeah, you mean the states that provide the vast majority of money?
Los Angeles wants money. New York wants money. Illinois is really having a hard time. They all want money.
Highly populous states, you mean? The ones who pay more in federal taxes than they get back? It's funny how the red states, because they want more, it's just adding onto the tab. But in the blue states who've been paying the tab all this time, all of a sudden they need help Screw them.
Have Republican-managed states that are doing very well. You know, it's a big...
Yeah, because they already get a government handout. Lovely.
I want to get to China, Mr. President, but let me ask you this. You've talked a lot about the supply chain.
Not a good time to go, Maria. Maybe next year.
You changed the conversation on China, obviously. And now we're seeing the average American understand that we cannot have 70% of our active ingredients in our prescription drugs made in China. But how are you going to get these companies to actually bring the supply chain back to
the companies.
America? Are you going to do tax breaks? How do you incentivize them to do it?
I could tell you hundreds of stories of this
Great, tell us.
stupidity that I've seen. As an
Well, that I believe. I mean, just daily in your administration. But what she wants to know is how you're going to get pharmaceutical companies, international, multinational pharmaceutical companies, to make certain drugs in the United States. Go for it. Let me hear you.
example, we make a fighter jet. It's a certain fighter jet. I won't tell you which, but it happens to be the F-35, okay? It's a great jet. And we make parts for this jet all over the world.
Yeah, because we also, all of our allies use that jet as well. And there was a reasoning behind the creation of the F-35. We don't pay for the F-35 all by ourselves. The United States, it is in many ways a UN air project. It is an allies project. And so each of these countries have a factory where they make a part of it, and they, we build it kind of together so that everybody shares the F-35 because you could train the pilots here in the United States, but the plane itself is used all over the world, and it's made all over the world. Our allies share in the cost of it and the production of it. It's not a U.S. plane that's made overseas, or parts of it are made overseas. Do you understand the complexity of such a...
We make them in Turkey. We make them here.
And Turkey flies those planes, and they pay for the part that's made there.
There were all because President Obama and others...
By the time Obama got in office, the entire supply chain for the F-35 had been established 20 years beforehand.
Not just blaming him.
Why would you blame him at all? Do we now make the F-35 in the United States?
I thought it was a wonderful thing. The problem is, if we have a problem with a country, you can't make the jet. If we have a...
Yeah, but that's a jet that everybody uses. We also have other fighter jets.
We get parts from all over the place. It's so crazy. We should make everything in the United States. It's better.
Everything.
Do it?
Number one, it's better. So, yeah, we're doing it because I'm changing all those policies.
No.
Look, we make...
I'm changing all those policies. 3.5 years in, the first mention of the F-35.
F-35 is very important, the greatest jet in the world, where the main body of the jet is made in Turkey.
Yeah. And Turkey pays for that part of the production.
And then it's sent here. So what happens? We have a good relationship with President Erdogan. What happens if we don't, with me? What happens if we don't have? Are they going to say, well, we're not going to give you this, so we have to now gear up, and it takes a long time to do it?
China said that. They threatened us that they weren't going to send the prescription drugs if you kept poking them with the carrots.
We have many things. Okay?
We've been threatened.
Well,
yeah, that's different. See, we don't collaborate in the production of those drugs. We just simply buy them from there. We also get drugs from India and Pakistan. Part of the big movement and why he went and met with Modi, besides him showing off and going there, the main reason that Trump actually went to India, and this is not a dude who's comfortable in a place like India. The reason he went is because his cabinet and everybody working around him is going, we're going to have to shift production of some of the drugs that we use and all the other companies, ancillary companies that the multinationals use that are all in India now, and we need to make nice with them. Like...
I've taken in billions of dollars in tariffs, and these drug companies...
What does that have to do with... Not on... so you're tariffing what? Insulin and malaria drugs? Is that what's up?
To get on the ball.
By the way, no, he isn't.
Because they're going off not only to China.
So are you going to incentivize?
You look at where they're going.
Give them tax
they're going
breaks?
to India. And
Still hasn't answered it. Still hasn't answered. How do you get the companies to come in here and... how do you get the companies to start making the drugs here?
They're going to Ireland, and they're going they all over the place. They make
Apple said now they're going to go to India. They're going to do some production in India away from China.
If they do, you know, we gave Apple a little bit of a break because they're competing with a company that was a part of a trade deal that we made, so it was a little bit unfair to Apple. But we're not allowing this anymore.
You don't have any control over it.
You know, if we wanted to put up our own border like other countries...
Please explain to your Republican friends how you are going to Venezuela the shit out of all of our private industries. Please make that sales pitch during this. Good Lord.
To us, Apple would build 100% of their product in the United States.
No.
That's the way it would work.
And a lot of the components that are made for the Apple products are made here and in South Korea. The iPhone is not made in China. It is assembled in China. They're moving assembly someplace else. Just like the F-35 body's made in Turkey, and then they bring the body over here, and then they put it all together and all that stuff. Like,
but
please understand, this is a Republican president talking to a Fox News business host about how they're going to force private companies that outsource some of their production to other countries to move it here and make it all in the United States. Like, make that happen. You want to talk about inflation?
You need to do anything in terms of incentivize to get them.
I have to do.
I am seeing the super hearts, by the way. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I was caught up in listening, but that doesn't mean I'm saying thank you, Steph Ray. I appreciate that. And there was one more, too, that I missed a little earlier. And thank you, Joe Carter.
One incentive, frankly, is to charge tax for them when they make product outside. We don't have to do much for them. They have to do for us. Look, you have the companies, and they build, as an example, Mexico. Great.
They built Mexico?
Relationship with Mexico. They've been very nice to us. They have 27,000 of their soldiers.
Keeping Americans who are sick with COVID-19 from coming into Mexico.
On our border, because I insisted on it.
Yeah, I remember.
But you have Mexico.
Yeah, I remember. Thanks, Paul.
They build a car, and they send it over to the border. No tax, no nothing. When we build cars, we send them to...
What do you think the USMCA is going to do? You think the USMCA is going to limit that car production, auto production in Mexico?
Countries... If you
did Mexico and Canada just sign off on higher taxes in the USMCA than they had under NAFTA or any other thing?
European Union, it was formed for the benefit of themselves against us, okay? It was formed to hurt us. If you take the European Union, Maria, it's so sad. They send cars over, no tax. If we want to sell a car over there, it's an impossibility.
I feel like we've been talking about this for 3 years. Yeah. You've been opening the spotlight on this for 3 years.
And I've made a lot of changes.
You're going to Pennsylvania Thursday.
Right.
What is this about? This is partly to see what kind of manufacturing we can do here,
It's about manufacturing. I want to bring it all back. And look, there's nothing good about what happened with the plague, okay, especially the death. But the one thing is, it said Trump was right. Because I was getting a lot of fight back, even from people that I like a lot in Congress, etc. And
yeah, only Republicans have a problem with this. Democrats have been pushing for Made in America policies and the advancement of that and a VAT tax and all kinds of other shit for a long time. And the people who scuttle it every single time, Republicans. Dude, your flag pin's made in China. Your tie is made in China.
Now they're not fighting. These stupid supply chains that are all over the world, we have a supply chain where they're made in all different parts of the world. And
that's a business decision. You want the government to start making business decisions, then start saying so.
One little piece of the world goes bad and the whole thing is messed up. I said we should...
That's why you have redundancy in the supply chain.
Have supply chains. We should have them all in the United States. We have the companies to do it. And if we don't, we can do that.
And now the services part of our economy is getting crushed.
Yeah.
Hotels, restaurants. We need the manufacturing.
It's all happening.
To be picking up.
It's all happening.
Let me turn to China, Mr.
Oh, because everybody who works in the hotels that nobody's going to go to and people who can't go into malls and close quarter areas, they're going to go work on a factory floor?
President, you called it an attack the other day. Was it deliberate?
So, a terrible thing happened, and you can look at it as a source. It took place at a certain point, and it could have been put out, and it should have been put out.
You don't think they were trying to put it out? They were welding people in their apartments and spraying their streets with Clorox.
And we asked to go over, and they said no. They didn't.
We had people in, and you pulled them out.
Our help, and I figured that was okay because they must know what they're doing.
Oh, well, then that's good. All right. Well, I'm glad we can trust your judgment on this. That sounds about right. That's another, yeah, clip that for future use. Christ.
So it was either stupidity, incompetence, or it was deliberate. One of the.
Yeah. That's a hell of a thing for a president to say. It was either stupidly incompetent or it was deliberate. Which was it? Because your response matters. So which one was it? If it was an accident, you don't blame them, and then you work very hard to make sure that you have protections in place in case they make that same mistake again until they can be trusted not to make that same mistake again. If it was deliberate, it was a violent act of war that has killed more Americans than the Vietnam War. If it was deliberate, the other option is it could have been.
But one of the things that is bad is they stopped people leaving. Nobody could go to China. You couldn't go to Beijing. You couldn't go anywhere in China. But you could go to the rest of the world. What was that all about? Why?
What? They shut down travel out of Wuhan.
30,000 people traveled from China to the United States
40.
After coronavirus was known.
Right. Okay. So
and not all of them were Americans. Don't believe that part.
As you know, a very small, because I put on, in January, and I was criticized by everybody, including Dr. Fauci. I put in a wall.
Because it's all you wanted to do.
We put in a very strong wall. Only a small number of people were allowed in, and they were all U.S. citizens. I can't
No, they weren't.
tell a U.S. citizen you can't come back into your country. And then I put up
But you can put people in mandatory quarantine instead of suggested quarantine.
barrier to Europe, too, because
No, you didn't. That was too late. That's why all the coronavirus that's on the East Coast came from Italy.
what happened is these
in Europe.
same people and others went to Europe. Europe became heavily infected. Italy, a very favorite place of yours.
Yes.
Italy, Spain, France became very, very badly infected. Infected is a terrible word, isn't it?
Yeah.
It all became a horror show. And then I closed it because I didn't want people coming in from Europe, if you can believe it. This
Europeans, white people.
is what happened. But by doing this,
I had to stop white people from coming in. You realize how bad it has to be?
Actually acted very early. We did a great thing, but it's a disastrous subject, no matter how you cut it.
Knowing what you know now.
Wait, you just accused you just said you could flip a coin basically and decide whether China accidentally released COVID-19 or if they did it as a bioweapon. Just shrug that off. We're just supposed to shrug that off. That China used a bioweapon against the United States and killed double the number of people that have died in the Vietnam War in a month. We're just gonna breeze past that, are we?
And as you start reopening things and you're getting info from all of the governors and you're tracking this, when would you expect international travel to come back? Is that a 2021 affair?
All I can say is this: as soon as possible. We can't send planes over to a country that right now, I mean, I'm not going to mention names of countries, but there are some that are very.
But it's the F-35. The F-35 is a terrible country.
Right now, we talked about one just a little while ago, really badly infected. So we can't bring people in.
They have fewer cases than us. They've bent the curve. They're limiting travel.
That we just can't do.
It'll take a while.
It'll take a little while. But a lot of people are going to start traveling more so in the United States. And they'll be back. We're going to have, it's all going to be back together. And in many ways, we've learned a lot. And
have we? What have we learned? What did you teach us? Oh, teacher.
Bring back manufacturing.
Reach out with your feelings, Luke.
That we could never have done.
Your eyes can deceive you.
Without this. As bad as this has been, because now people agree with me. A lot of people are saying Trump was right. I've been talking about this for a long time.
Gee, you mean all the people around you because you only allow people in your administration who blow smoke up your ass 24/7 and you fire anybody or distance yourself from anybody that says different?
I've been doing a lot about it. But, you know, they become embedded. It's almost like it becomes a way of life. We have to do business.
So much stimulus.
This is about our country. It's not about the world. We have to fix our country. The world.
She keeps saying $10 trillion. At last count, it was, the first one was 2.6 plus the extra $500 billion. There was some stuff about Mnuchin saying it was 2.6 to 6.4, but we haven't done the 3 yet. Where's the extra 4 that she's talking about?
We want to be a leader, the leader, but right now, I'm president of the United States. I'm not president of the world. I say it all the time. I want to make America great again. I want to do what we have. You know, years ago, we made our own product. We didn't rely on everybody in the world. They have their own problems.
So what happened? They just wanted to do it cheaper? They wanted less environment?
She works for Fox Business, by the way. So what happened to business? They just wanted to make stuff cheaper? How does this happen?
They're globalists. They're people that think we have to make the world wealthy at our expense. I don't even know where these people come from, but those days are over.
Is that what globalists believe, that we have to make the world wealthy at our expense? Is that what a globalist is to these guys? Huh?
And if nothing else, over the last 2 months, it's been proven to be right.
Let me get to China, because I also want to get to the unmasking and General Flynn, but I got to get to China first, because Secretary Pompeo said that he has strong evidence that it did.
He just got, by the way, Trump just got rid of the Inspector General who was looking into Pompeo.
Come from the virology lab. We've been reporting this every Sunday, by the way, from early on. You also said that you saw evidence. Can you tell us anything about the intelligence?
No, but
I can't tell you what I saw, or if I even saw it, or what was seen, or how it was seen. We got to get our country back.
A lot of information, and it's not good. But you know, the worst of all, whether it came from the lab or came from the bats it all came from China, and they should have stopped it. They could have stopped it at that source. I call it the source.
Do you really? Is it just a cool nickname?
Right there.
They made a decision to allow it to escape its borders.
They made a decision to allow it to escape its borders. Think about that. Think about that for a second. China made a decision to allow it to escape its borders. So basically, they turned it loose on the world on purpose. So it was murder, is what they're saying. So according to Fox Business and Donald Trump, the Chinese government intentionally released COVID-19 on the world in an attempt to murder Europeans, I guess?
I don't know if they made the decision, but it got out of control. I think more likely it got out of control.
Senator Cotton said that they didn't want the Chinese economy to contract 20% and the rest of the world to contract 2%.
So we were beating them.
Oh, so she's quoting Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton thinks that they released it because their economy was hurt so bad. If they just released a disease into the world, it would hurt everybody else's economy. Holy shit.
Very badly. Before this, we were beating them between the tariffs and other things we were doing, and we were going up, and they were having a very bad year. They were having the worst year they've had in 56 years.
So she agrees with Tom Cotton that it was a bioweapon attack.
Protesters on the street.
And they weren't well, and even beyond that, and we were really doing well, and that is a theory. But here's what I know for sure. They didn't allow this whole thing. They didn't allow people to go into China, but they did allow them to go out to the world, including the United States. That's why Europe is a mess. That's why, look at these countries. Russia's having a hard time.
Russia has a border with China. There are Russian people who are Chinese citizens because of where the border was drawn. There are white Russian human beings who are considered ethnically Chinese because of the way the border was drawn. They go back and forth across that border every single day.
So will it get worse for those countries, do you think?
Yeah, it's for some of them. Some have just started the process. We're getting toward the end of the process.
Are we?
You know, so they downplayed the
This dude is the guy in the Donner Party who said 3 days in, let's just sit down and have a big meal. I'm sick of carrying all these cans of beans.
They downplayed the virus. At the same time, they're allowing international travel. 5 million people leaving Wuhan, going to Italy, going to the United States. Then they start cornering the market on protective equipment, even though China is already
even though we sent them,
largest.
Who sent them 17.8 tons of PPE?
Producer of this stuff.
That's not the big thing. Look, the big thing is they should have never let this happen. So I make a great trade deal, and now I say, it just doesn't feel the same to me. The ink was barely dry, and the plague came over, and it doesn't feel the same to me.
Are they going to renege on it? They're not going to buy the $250 billion, are they?
They will buy 250 billion. They said somewhere I see they'd like to renegotiate the deal. We're not going to renegotiate. Look, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that particular subject right now.
Jesus.
But everything I said turned out to be right. You go back 10 years.
Everything, it's a great deal. I don't want to upset the Chinese. That turned out to be right.
20 years. I'm telling you, it's why I'm sitting here. There's the beautiful Oval Office because of trade, not only with China, with other countries also. You look at other countries, they charge us tariffs to do business, and we're not allowed to charge them.
What are you going to do about it?
We're allowed to charge them. We just make a decision about whether or not it will drive up the price of goods for people in the United States and what they're willing to pay for it.
Right now, as we speak,
we don't care.
Continuing to steal intellectual property. The word is out. The FBI puts the warning out. They're stealing intellectual property on science data, on research. They want to get a COVID-19 vaccine before us. Are they going to beat us to the COVID-19 vaccine now?
They've always been doing it, and they were never called. Now they're being called out all the time with me.
They were never called out on it, right?
For a long time, long before this.
So you can stop them from doing this?
Well, we can stop them. They're going to try doing it. I mean, you could also stop doing business with them. That's one thing. Look.
Yeah, that's sort of what TPP was about.
We have lost a fortune dealing with China. We have rebuilt China.
No, we didn't. We bought a bunch of stuff. We got a lot of stuff cheaply made for almost free compared to the labor costs and the quality costs of other areas. Like, we bought $500 billion worth of stuff from them. They bought $250 billion worth of stuff from us.
They've done a great job, but the people sitting in this seat have allowed them to rip us off like you've never seen before, and that includes President Obama and Biden, Sleepy Joe.
Oh, so what is the next president going to say about you? Like, well, we wouldn't be in this situation if the last president hadn't let a contagion crevice our economy.
We allowed them to rip this country off. We spent hundreds of billions. We gave them hundreds of billions of dollars year in and year out.
We bought hundreds of billions of dollars. This is a trade deficit. Do you not understand that these are purchased goods versus received goods? I don't understand why he can't grasp that number. We didn't pay China $500 billion just throwing it at them, and they only threw $250 billion at us. I don't understand how he can't grasp a trade deficit. Honestly. Especially when his friggin' towers are all built with Chinese steel.
You spoken to Xi Jinping?
I have a very good relationship, but right now, I don't want to speak to him.
I don't know. It's just a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like he's been fair to me. And we used to... You don't bring me flowers. You don't sing me love songs. You hardly talk to me anymore. You just sign a trade deal and shut the door.
Because, Senator Cotton was saying maybe we should...
Oh, what's Senator Cotton saying? Really? Was Senator Cotton saying it? What was Senator Cotton saying? Why don't you tell me what Senator... Wait, do you like Senator Cotton so much? Why don't you marry him?
Be limiting the amount of visas that we give to students who want to study things like quantum computing.
There are many things.
There's lots of things we can do, and I'm hearing lots of ideas right now as you're saying them out of your face.
Things we could do. We could do things. We could cut off the whole relationship. Now, if you...
Like, again, but if we did that, 2.2 million Americans would die. And, we could do that, but let's not think about doing that, and we'll do it.
What would happen? You'd save $500 billion.
You wouldn't save $500 billion. What is he talking about?
If you cut off the whole relationship. Look, at what point does it, and I said this for years, I said it with other countries also. China's not the only country ripping us off. At NATO, where we defend Europe for nothing, by the way.
We don't defend them for nothing. We have an alliance where everybody protects everybody.
Essentially nothing.
We were at the height of the Cold War, and the positioning of our missiles were crucial to pressuring Russia and keeping World War III
was
at bay.
able to get them to pay hundreds of billions of dollars more. You know my biggest fan in the world? Secretary Stoltenberg.
He has said that to me on the
said-
show, actually.
He's been there a long time. He said,
Why are you looking at me? Why is she looking at me?
nobody's ever gotten, you know, we were paying more and more, they were paying less. You have to see the chart of what they pay. So we are defending Europe, and then they're taking advantage of us on trade. It's all one way, and it was all turning, and it is all turning around.
And you pulled back
but
the
we've
money.
been proven to be right. Yeah, I
Pulled back the money. No, he didn't pull back the money.
You pulled back the money from the thrift fund. They wanted to put 10% of the thrift fund into MSCI index. That was
Billions of
Chinese
dollars.
companies.
Billions.
$50 billion.
Yeah, I pulled it back.
That's not NATO cash.
You go one step further and force that Chinese companies have to follow accounting rules if they want to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ.
We're looking at that very strongly, but on the thrift fund, you know, it's run by the Obama appointments, right?
Notice how they had that graphic up saying the thrift fund. Hold on, sorry. The thrift fund is run by Obama appointees. Whoops. Get in there. Grab that. See that part? The thrift fund is run by Obama appointments. That part, yeah, that was up on screen before he said it.
And we said, you got to do this, and we're going to find out whether or not they're going to do it very soon. And if they're not, we're going to replace
In a very short period of time.
them very quickly. And we are looking at your second part of your question. We're looking at that.
Because
Yeah, he doesn't know what she's talking about, and he's just processing it.
Chinese companies like an Alibaba, any Chinese company, they're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. They don't have to report their earnings the way an American company does.
Pretty amazing. But here's the problem with that. You know, look, I hate to
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
say it, but let's say we do that, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to move their listing to London or someplace else. You see?
Yeah, and their failures are London's problems. You don't just take whatever junk people drop on your lawn, because if we don't take it, somebody else will.
Let's say you want to get tough.
Isn't he the one who was just saying the World Trade Organization allowing China to be in there as part of the problem?
And you're going to do, you know, everyone wants to be a tough guy. Look, I'm the toughest guy, but what happens is, so we say, you're going to do this, and you're going to follow the rules of the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. What do? They say, okay, we'll move to London or we'll go to Hong Kong.
Mr. President, let me...
Right. And when their companies fail because they don't report their earnings properly, and they're actually what the Chinese call feng pi, fart air, if their entire company is run on feng pi, and instead of all the investors who invest in that lose their shirt, including union pension funds and old age people, like people in their old age who have investments and the like, instead of those people losing everything they have because they trusted those stocks to meet the standard of all the other stocks, they can go to London, they can go to Hong Kong, and if they have problems over there, that at least the Dow has a standing as being always viable. I don't know what am I
And ask you about General Flynn and what has taken place. We have breaking news today. The names of the people who unmasked General Flynn have been publicized.
Yeah. So when you unmask someone, do you know who they are before you take the mask off? Or did you just go, I think there's a criminal over there. Perhaps we need to pull their mask off and see who they are, if they're legit allowed to be here. And it turns out, oh, they're not. Wow.
Biden, John Brennan.
No, those are the people who had authority.
Jim Comey, your reaction?
Your reaction.
It's the most disgusting. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Flynngate. Totally Templeton's of that.
Greatest political crime in the history of our country.
Totally. So bad. It's amazing.
You mean your election, yeah.
If I were a Democrat instead of a Republican, I think everybody...
This wouldn't have happened.
He would have been...
You wouldn't do this.
In jail a long time ago.
Because they would have been acting against your will because you would have been a Democrat and you wouldn't have done something like this,
and I'm talking with 50-year sentences. It is a disgrace what's happened. This is the greatest political scam, hoax in the history of our country.
Well, it is the biggest
and people should be going to jail for this.
It is the biggest political scandal we've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the JFK murder, the Lincoln assassination, don't really count.
And hopefully, a lot of people are going to have to pay. No other president should have to go through. And
they won't. They just don't owe over $600 million to Russia and $200 million to China and hire somebody who's working for the Turkish government to be your national security advisor and get access to stuff and lie about it on his forms. Then it's simple. Won't happen. Done.
I'll tell you, General Flynn and others are heroes because what's happened
of the revolution to destroy America. They are heroes. They are heroes for the Russian army.
To them, they weren't.
What they have done for Mother Russia and for the Putin is unmeasurable. These are people who will do anything to bring down the giant capitalist pig country America.
To General Flynn, they wanted him to lie about me, make up.
No, he told the truth when he said he lied.
Story, and with few exceptions, nobody did that. There were many people.
With few exceptions.
I watched KT McFarland the other day. I watched where she was knock knock FBI. You know, the FBI. Okay, this was all Obama. This was all Biden. These people were corrupt. The whole thing was corrupt.
Yeah, your people were corrupt.
We caught them.
You didn't catch anybody. Everybody had a right to look. Somebody calls a drug dealer 100 times. The cops have a reason to go and ask for a warrant to go, who is this number? We keep seeing this number calling this guy, and every time this guy calls this guy, somebody dies. And we see the phone number, but it's not linked to anybody. We need a warrant.
These are all the people who asked for the warrant to find out who was calling a drug dealer 100 times in the middle of the night. It's the same thing.
Caught them. And what you saw just now, I watched Biden yesterday. He could barely speak. He was on Good Morning America, right? And he said he didn't know anything about it. And now it just gets released right after he said that.
No, he has the right. He has the right to know who that is. He's in the chain of command. If anybody in that chain unmasks someone, they're all informed of it. They all have the right to ask for it. There's 10 people. If any of those 10 people asks to unmask something, everybody else is informed. By the way, in the last year of the Obama administration, they unmasked 9,162 people. The FBI did, and CIA did, they through this program. The first year of the Trump administration, it was 9,600 and something. It was 12,000 and 10,000 the last 2 years.
It gets released that he was one of the...
He's unmasked more people than every year by a third.
Maskers, meaning he knew everything about it. So he lied to your friend George Stephanopoulos. What kind of stuff?
Explain to our audience what this means, because, I mean, this is...
Nobody knows.
A serious thing. They are tracking phone calls. They were tracking a phone call of, I guess, Kislyak. And you're not supposed to...
I'll tell you what it means. It's very simple. So even before I got elected, you remember the famous The Two Lovers, right? Strzok and Page. The insurance policy. She's going to win, but just in case she does it, we have an insurance policy. That means that if I won, they're going to try and take me out. That's all.
No, that means they have evidence of your criminality. By the way, nice coat bump on your nose.
It's very simple. It's an insurance policy. So she's going to win, isn't?
Look at that. Major. Look, left side normal, right side. Look at that. That is crazy. He just took a huge blast right before this interview.
Hey, darling, isn't she going to win? I watched Chuck Todd this weekend.
Nice edit.
What he did to a beautiful sentence made by our great Attorney General, and he cut it in half, and then he complained that Bill Barr didn't say the other half of the sentence, and he said the exact same words that Chuck Todd used. These are corrupt people.
So what is the Obamagate thing? That's not what she asked you about. How do we get to Chuck Todd?
People that shouldn't be allowed to be on television. Because, you know, when I say the enemy of the people, that's the enemy of the people.
Okay, so can we go back to the actual question? Because she's still confused about what you're talking about.
That's corrupt, okay? That's corrupt. But this was a terrible, terrible thing that happened to our country. It was they tried to overthrow a duly elected, forget about me, a duly elected president of the United States.
You can be duly elected and then commit a crime as you were getting elected and get thrown out. It happens to a lot of people. People, judges, governors, they commit crimes, electoral fraud. When they get in office, they get voted in, and then it finds out they were fraudulent during the election, or they committed a crime before or during, or God forbid, after they've gotten in office. What in the world makes you think getting elected expunges crimes?
They tried to do an overthrow with fiction by making up stories about Russia.
Fiction.
Now it's all come out that actually they wanted Hillary Clinton. You saw that one came out yesterday. They wanted Hillary Clinton to win. Nobody's been tougher on. You can speak to Putin or anybody else. Nobody has been tougher on Russia than I have.
What are you talking about? You had to sign sanctions that were veto-proof coming through the Senate. That's where's the tough part? You mean having private meetings with him and throwing out the notes and not having your like staff present? That tough part?
They wanted
walking out with your head down and him smiling after meetings like he just spanked you?
Hillary Clinton to win.
General Flynn was exonerated, but we all know
No, he admitted that he lied in court.
because of the setup notes, and now
No, they know you're going to lie. They want to back you into it. He's got one. We got a guy coming in. We know he's going to do one of two things. We know he did it, and he's not going to admit it. So we wanted to get his lie on paper because we've got proof that he did it, and we want to hear him say it. So if he comes in and we give him every opportunity to be honest with us, but if he's not going to be honest with us, we're going to catch him in the lie. Because the guy, if he can't be trusted, shouldn't be in the position he's in. If you're in charge of caring about what happens to national security, how is that not your strategy when you bring someone in you think is guilty of a crime? In what world do they live in where police officers, FBI agents shouldn't be able to do that with someone they know is in the process of committing a criminal act? He had an option. He could have told the truth. If what he was doing was legal, why lie?
Judge Sullivan is delaying it. So what do you think about this federal judge?
Because the president's political appointee is dropping charges against one of the president's political cronies? Yeah. What do you think of a judicial system where the sheriff can change out the DA to get his son off the hook? Like, all right.
Well, I'm not going to write off on the exoneration just yet. What is that about?
I think it's one of the most incredible things that I and many other people, there's a lot of anger.
A lot of very angry people. It's not just me, even though everyone says it's just me.
Have ever seen. I just had General Milley and some other generals in my office about an unrelated topic, right? And I said, do you guys know General Flynn, General Milley, head of Joint Chiefs of Staff,
the greatest guy,
military,
whoever.
Your appointees all like him.
Person bearing.
Shocked.
He said, I've known General Flynn for a long time, sir. He's a great man and he's a great gentleman. This should never have happened to him.
Three-star general.
He's
the
a great
FBI
guy.
said that they started the Crossfire Hurricane in July of 2016. But we know that there were informants running into your campaign associates as early as January, February of 2016. They would be Stefan Halper, Joseph Mifsud, Alexander Downer. Who organizes that? Would that come out of the CIA? I know that Stefan Halper made $1 million. I don't know what he was paid that $1 million for, but
they got paid a fortune. These guys got paid
just for running into your campaign.
Think of it, government money. They were interviewed. I don't know Papadopoulos. I never met even Carter Page. I never met this man. But they went after Carter Page because they thought he was a person in the campaign. I think he was.
Yeah, he was carrying paperwork from your campaign to Russia.
A committee. But I never met him. But they went after these people viciously, all because they wanted to hurt the President of the United States.
No, all because these people were interacting with Sergei Kislyak and former KGB members.
They figure they'll either hurt him or they'll take him out. That would be the ideal. Comey is a corrupt person, but let me tell you, Brennan bad. They're all bad. Everyone. Clapper is, you know.
Everyone's bad. Everyone's
smart
bad
guy
but me.
in charge of intelligence.
I'm the smartest person that ever lived.
But here's the thing. It was impossible for it to happen without the man that sits right in that chair in the Oval Office. He knew everything.
Do you believe President Obama directed the U.S. intelligence agencies to spy on you?
Yes, he probably directed them, but if he didn't direct them, he knew everything.
Once they couldn't find...
And China, maybe they just made a mistake, and maybe they sent a bioweapon to murder us.
By the way, excuse me, you're going to see that when the papers came out. Remember the Lisa Page?
Yes, please release the grand jury testimony from the Flynn case. Just do that.
Text.
All of it. Unredacted, put it all out.
To her lover, saying POTUS wants to see everything. POTUS. They're not talking about me. I wasn't president. They're talking about POTUS wants to see everything.
Well, there was a meeting on January 5th in the Oval Office. President Obama was there. Vice President Biden was there. Clapper, Brennan. And that's when the Logan Act came up. So should we believe that they were looking for collusion evidence? They couldn't find the collusion evidence. There was none. So they said,
yes, there was.
Let's just use the Logan Act to take it down.
First of all, they snuck around White House counsel. They went to see a very unsuspecting General Flynn. He's a general. He's not a lawyer. They said you don't need a lawyer. And they started asking him questions. And they probably brought up the Logan Act. And they probably scared the hell out of him. But let me tell you a little secret. They go knock, knock, and ask K.T. McFarland the way they knocked on the door, and many other people. With Mueller, that whole thing turned out to be a total fraud. The whole Mueller investigation's a fraud. It was all part of the...
Then release the grand jury testimony. Release all the grand jury materials then.
Same deal.
Release the Mueller report completely unredacted to Congress.
But
it's a fraud. You'll just see that it's not a fraud. You know, you'll see that none of it has any weight.
To General Flynn and others. You know, we know about General Flynn. You'll find out about others, too.
Oh, yeah? Who?
He did to these people is a international disgrace.
Watch the stock market go down as he's talking.
And all over the world they talk about it, because this is not America. And hopefully the people involved are going to pay a big price, because it should never be allowed to happen again.
Mr. President, this is...
Yeah, I don't think any other president will try this kind of stuff.
Toward the end of your first term as president, and this entire term has been dominated by resistance. You've gotten so much done. Tax legislation, I mean, international things, so much done. And yet, FBI takedown effort, pushback on all of your Supreme Court judges, a complete drama around Brett Kavanaugh, the Democrats in Congress attacking your call with the Ukraine leader, then...
Yeah, you mean you using the force of the U.S. government to blackmail an ally for the benefit of someone who attacked our elections and you owe $600 million to?
Impeachment trial.
Over nothing. Over absolutely nothing.
And you keep... I've never seen anybody to take a punch and get right back up and keep punching.
So good. He's so strong.
I mean, where does this resilience come from?
I don't know where the American people manage to get up every day and go back to work or try or stay indoors so they don't infect their neighbor or get infected and kill their family members. Where do they get the strength? I don't know.
Keep getting things done in the face of all of them.
Thank you, Bronwyn Fox.
A lot of people have asked me that question. Rush Limbaugh said, I heard him the other day, he said, I've never met a man that could take this much punishment. And
oh, my God. Can you imagine if you were accused of not being born here?
He'll be a great president. So what I've done is more than any other president. You take the first 3 years, we've done more tax cuts, regulations. We've done more than any other president ever.
Jerusalem, al-Baghdadi.
Oh, I mean, Jerusalem, just look at all
finally.
of the things. Even if you look, what would do. I came in and Iran was a powerful nation.
No, it wasn't.
It's a much different place right now.
It's got COVID-19.
They'd like to make a deal. Iran would like to make a deal. But Iran was a very powerful place.
No, we had a decent deal with them. You tore it up. You had no recourse. If it hadn't been for COVID-19 affecting that country, we'd be in the exact same position.
So much we.
By the way, Russia is bringing in nuclear facilities into Iran right now.
So much, and I'm so proud. By the way,
the only reason Trump didn't strike nuclear facilities, by the way, is because he found out that half of them are populated with Russian engineers.
How about rebuilding our military? Our military was totally
They are all half populated with Russian engineers.
depleted. Now we have the strongest military, brand new jets, everything is beautiful. All
We're ready to bomb the world.
in the USA.
We don't have any swabs, but we could nuke the shit out of this virus if it was Mexican.
All of the things I've done, including taking care of our Second Amendment. Our Second Amendment was and will be. If they get in, you're not going to have any Second Amendment. They will.
What does that have to do with anything?
They will get rid of the Second Amendment.
We're not getting rid of the Second Amendment. We just don't think you should have to have like 30-round clips taped to other 30-round clips and a hunting rifle.
Well, for all of those people that
an assault weapon shouldn't. Machines designed to kill masses of human beings. You should be able to carry a reusable pipe bomb everywhere you go.
Feel that, you know, the right to bear arms is a big thing. All of these things that I've done, and yet I've done it through, I've had to fight through walls, like the wall that we're building on the southern border. I've had to fight through walls.
It's not stopping, though. Are you ready to fight for another 4 years?
It's getting much better, and we caught them in the act. Look, they have been
It's much better.
caught in the act. We caught them. I consider it maybe one of, you know, I always say drain the swamp. Nobody knew the swamp was that deep or that bad. Guys like Comey at the FBI, these were bad people.
He was appointed. They're at the top. That's not deep state.
You know, the FBI, you talk about General Flynn.
No, Trump cannot fire a weapon.
The FBI said he didn't lie. They said he didn't lie.
Trey Gowdy on my show this week
Nice edit, by the way. Did you see that one?
said that leaking classified information is a 10-year felony. We know that some of those people did that.
Well, Comey did, and other people
How
did too.
involved was John Brennan?
Totally involved. He was totally involved. John Brennan was one of the architects, in my opinion.
In your opinion. By the way, so if she's going to run on that leaking classified stuff is, that you should go to jail for decades for that. What about everybody in your administration that's leaked something?
They're leaking these lies.
You look at Brennan,
By the way, you can't leak a lie.
look at Clapper, you look at them all. But ultimately, the president knew everything. The president knew everything.
That's not true in your case.
President Obama and Vice President Biden, they knew everything.
So what can you
and
do
again,
about it? What can you do about it?
Let me just tell you, if I were in that position, it'd be a whole different thing. If this happened to Obama, instead of to a Republican president that's popular 96% in the Republican Party, but
Yeah, now that everybody's leaving the Republican Party.
it's a whole different thing.
I used to have 50% of 1,000 people. Now I have 96% of 100 people. I'm doing better.
If this happened to Obama, instead of to me, you know what? Everybody would be in jail for years already, for years. It's a disgraceful thing. But we caught him in the act, Maria. It's a beautiful thing. And every day we're seeing more and more information come out. We caught him. And their
No, you didn't.
guys are gone. They were guarding the fort. Comey and all these guys, they were guarding the fort. And once they left, it got easier and easier. And now it's like an
To fill it with appointees and people who are sycophants and allow Russia to do whatever they want. Great.
avalanche of really bad, call it
Yes, that's right. It's, let's see, at 7 o'clock, is it? Or is it just starting at 5 o'clock? Oh, yeah, it's 7 o'clock Central Time because they're in Chicago. Is that what it is? Yeah, I'm not going to let him overlap with that. Yeah.
treason, call it whatever you want. But they tried to take down a duly elected president of the United States.
They didn't.
Duty elected president. All right, we're almost done with this
Care
anyways.
that 53 million people voted for you and wanted you in the office.
More than 60
You didn't care that 56 million people voted against him. What are you talking about?
million. Just so you understand that they got caught in the act. They never thought that was going to happen.
They didn't get caught in the act. You don't get caught in the act of something 3.5 years later, even if you are caught and they're not.
We caught him in the act by making it up 3.5 years later. Still fighting that fight.
And they got sloppy, where Lisa Page would text and send messages through servers. You know, one of the other things that is missing, the DNC server, where is it?
What? Oh my God.
Why is it?
Why is it that when somebody is robbed, we don't get their PIN number?
That the FBI didn't take it. They arrested all these people, but they didn't arrest. They went in to see the people...
They got a forensic copy of it. What the hell difference? And they flew it to Ukraine and dropped it off there because that's where you hide shit. Can't make a hard copy of something and then chuck it in the ocean? What are you talking about? Nobody in the Democratic Party knows someone who has a boat?
DNC, right? They go in to see, you know, her wonderful campaign manager. You know all about that, right? They went in to see those people, whose brother, by the way, was supposed to be arrested. And the brother never got arrested, right?
Well, the same people were working on the investigation into the Trump campaign. They were also working on the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email.
Yeah, oh yeah, except it was slightly different.
Yeah, and if Comey hadn't made that statement about the server and the emails, which turned out to be BS, you wouldn't be president right now.
Level of intensity, okay?
How about when they walk over by the middle of the year? They called it the mid-year review.
How about they walk in to see Hillary Clinton's people, 5 people, I think, and they said, you all have immunity. You all have no problem. You all have immunity. And with our people, they wanted to try and put them in jail, and in some cases they did. And those people are going to go down as heroes. You watch.
Well, Paul Manafort is now, I guess, spending the rest of his term at home.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what.
You don't know? How do you not know? It was all over the news. Fox did tons of reports on it.
After Manafort, using, you know, the big black book on Manafort, turned out to be a fraud. They
No, it didn't.
found that out recently.
No, they didn't.
The black book where they said he got money, he got cash, he got all.
He did get money. He did get cash. His own daughters disowned him because it was his idea to put agent provocateurs in the Ukrainian protesters, so to get so that the president could open fire on the crowds.
Turned out to be a fraud. The Ukraine said that. All of
the Ukraine
things that they did, they were setups. And I have great respect for these people.
That coke bump on his nose is driving me nuts, though.
Because look at Roger Stone. Look at the horrible treatment he's got. He's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. He got treated.
He's just sending messages to the people he's going to
He wasn't even on my campaign. He was years before. He wasn't even on.
I think Carter Page is going to sue, and I wouldn't be surprised if General Flynn sued.
Yes, please sue. I would love to see the discovery in the lawsuit.
General Flynn's going to have a heck of a case, but...
Yeah, let's see that case. Please sue.
It's got a judge.
Please sue.
That I guess doesn't...
Both Carter Page and General Flynn, please sue the federal government.
I like him very much, but maybe the judge...
Point out the bump. It's right there on the other side of his nose. Here, I'll move it closer, if I dare. You. Right there. That thing. That's... Look up like Coke nose and all that stuff. That's what that is. That little bump on the side of his nose right there. Yeah. That's from the overuse of stimulants. Ingested nasally.
Doesn't like me very much, okay? Maybe the judge doesn't like me very much. I'll tell you what, I've read legal scholars. They can't even believe what the judge...
He's read legal scholars.
...is doing to him.
Los Angeles just said they may actually extend the shutdown throughout the summer. I think Elon Musk is fighting back, obviously.
He's doing the right thing. I'm all for him. Los Angeles, I think they're doing that for political reasons. Look,
are they? They don't give a shit about their... They'd much rather be closed in Los Angeles, really? Why, to hurt you?
The less...
What, are they going to cut off their Coke nose to spite their face? Is that what you're saying?
Successful we are in opening, the better they are probably, maybe, for an election.
Why? If the rest of the country starts opening up and the death toll doesn't go down, then the states that held out will kind of look silly by comparison or look like they overreacted. They're in as much legal or electoral jeopardy as anybody.
But I'm letting people know, in many cases, they're doing it just for political purposes.
So you think that they would rather see a recession, a terrible economy, joblessness, than have you get another term?
They would rather see our country fail. They would rather see our country fail, and you know what that means, because part of failure is death.
What? They would rather see death.
They would rather see that than have me get elected. I've driven them crazy. I don't know what it is.
You've upended everything, and they want their power, I guess. Real
the
quick on
swamp.
this Wuhan lab, I just want to get your take
Right,
on
we're gonna
this
end on
because
this.
people are questioning it, and I feel like I was among the early ones looking at this, wondering if that's where it originated. And in the Wuhan lab, didn't we as a country give money to that lab?
Yeah.
So what
as I
goes
understand
on at
it,
this
before
lab?
I got here, $7.5 million in 2014, and look, they said they were studying different things, and things like that happen. But money was given by the Obama administration earlier.
Okay,
And
I ended it.
you ended it.
Right, you ended it. No more money going into that Wuhan lab. But
No, I don't trust President Xi. I don't trust him with that.
why would they?
I took a lot of heat too. They said, "Oh, we're studying all sorts of stuff." You saw what happened.
So you ended the money. When you ended the money, we have an outbreak. When they gave them the money, we didn't have an outbreak for a long time. Then you end the money, and we have an outbreak. Maybe the money was going to security. Maybe it was hiring people who knew what they were doing. Maybe they had to hire less vigilant personnel because they didn't have enough money. So let me get this straight. You cut off the money, and then we had an outbreak. Am I? All right. You guys, I'm going to sign this off because God knows we don't need to look at this ruin our Saturday night anymore with this fella. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you dropping in with me 2 times in one day. I've got a sushi burrito waiting for me downstairs, and it's very delicious. So I'm going to go eat and have an evening with my girl, and I will see you guys later, and I hope you have a fantastic night. And like I said, reach out and send some love. We're going to be having a Prime watch party, which you can do on Twitch, coming up soon. I'll give you guys all the details for that. Also, we have the Discord servers up and functioning. If you guys want to join us in there ever, it's good for an ongoing. It's kind of like the chat room, but ongoing. And go to halsparks.com, and I'm going to start posting all those things or whatever. All the links for stuff will be there as well. And I thank you guys for your support and for just showing up, being here, having a great night. Enjoy the Obama commencement address. Get those ratings up. Everybody tune in. I can think of nothing that would make him more annoyed. You guys are wonderful. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I will see you next time. Okay, let me clicking these things is always the hard part. I need a fast button for this. It's just part of it. Anyways, you guys are fantastic. I'll see you later.